What you've done is highlight an invisible process, though, Fredrik. What we have now is financial capitalism. We've offshored all our making to far-flung places around the place. So we import products, we have a service-based economy, and financial capitalism is eating itself. Originally, the Big Bang in the UK, we thought that the city would bring all these riches, forgetting that actually a financial centre is a cost centre, not a value add. You've highlighted that in this film, haven't you?
Yeah, we tried to understand that sector, and it's not easy because it's a sector full of language. They talk a lot, and it's very fluffy explanations. it's very much about getting down to the what they do. They're just taking wealth away. And you know, when Blackstone enters somewhere, and now we name drop Blackstone a lot, it could be many others, of course, but they enter, but it's a very you know, Blackstone say, we buy, we fix, we sell. And it's when we follow them, it's very often, you know, Blackstone bought 42,000 former coal miners' apartments in the Czech Republic out, you know, and then 4 years later, boom, sell it on to someone else. And that's how they roll, and they have also there's a lot of copycats, of course, who do the same. So I can see around here in Sweden, they go in and they try to buy public houses around in smaller cities, and they're creating packages so they can sell on to bigger cats, you know. So it's very destructive. It's not, you know. We measure GDP on, you know, if my neighbor's house is being 100% more expensive in 10 years, so then the GDP because of that building is better. You know, it's totally stupid way of measuring economy. The value, this inflated value that they create with their business model, and they do it on our shoulders also.
Leilani, do they use impenetrable language and to camouflage what they're actually doing?
Well, absolutely. That's part of the game.
Because it's pretty simple stuff, this, isn't it? Buy an asset, or buy a lot of assets, make sure that the price goes up and everything, flip them onto the market, and like locusts, move on to the next tree.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, and I mean, they want to create their own world. It's a lot of guys talking to a lot of guys. Certainly as a human rights lawyer and as a filmmaker, we had to penetrate that language and break it down. And as you say, it's actually not that complicated. But I don't want to just talk about private equity because governments are thick as thieves with these actors. And it's really important to know that governments are playing this game too. The language game, the setting of interest rates so low, the making these financial products as accessible, as tax-free as they are. So it's a whole, that's what I mean about, there is a dismantling that has to happen. And there's a way in which these movements may seem really far apart, like Black Lives Matter and what we're talking about today. But there is a way in which they collide because there's a forcing of different language, different actors, different realities coming to the forefront. Even the Me Too movement, which I'm like really not part of and don't really pay too much attention to myself, even that, it's about telling different narratives and putting different narratives out there. And I think that's where we need to go, and we're starting to go with respect to this whole financialization of housing stuff. I think people are starting to say, hey, wait, the narrative that's being told by my government and by these actors is not my narrative.